The darkness of space was filled with broken metal and fire. Captain Hyun-sik opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt badly. Red warning lights flashed all around him in the cockpit. The displays were cracked and sparking. He could taste blood in his mouth. "Status report," he said, his voice rough and weak. The computer's voice answered, breaking up with static. "Hull breach in sectors 2 through 5. Life support at 15%. Weapon systems offline. Communications array destroyed. Engine power at 3%. Hyun-sik closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered the battle. The Vexthari had come in thousands. Their bioships had covered the stars like a swarm of insects. The Third Fleet had fought hard, but it wasn't enough. He remembered Do-yoon's ship exploding in a ball of fire. He remembered Young-ho screaming over the radio before the signal went dead. He remembered watching the flagship break apart, taking Admiral Taemin and 3,000 crew members with it. Now he was alone. He checked his instruments with shaking hands. The nearest human station was 6 days away at full speed, but he didn't have full speed. He barely had any speed at all. His fighter was dying around him, systems failing one by one. The oxygen would last maybe 12 hours if he was lucky. Hyun-sik looked out through the cracked canopy. Pieces of destroyed ships floated everywhere. Human ships, his friends, his family. Nari had joined the fleet the same day he did. They had trained together. Sunmi had saved his life during the Mars campaign. Taemin had been his mentor, teaching him everything about being a pilot. All gone now. He reached up and touched a small photo attached to his console, his sister back on Earth, smiling at the camera. He wondered if he would ever see her again. Probably not. But that was okay. He had known the risks when he joined the Defense Corps. Every pilot knew they might not come home. A warning beep made him look at his sensors. His heart sank. 6 contacts, moving toward his position. Vexthari hunter ships. They were searching the debris field, looking for survivors to kill. In 10 minutes, they would reach him. Hyun-sik took a deep breath. He checked his weapons. The main cannons were dead. The missiles were gone, but he still had the auxiliary plasma gun, and it had maybe 10 shots left. The thrusters were damaged but still working. It wasn't much, but it was something. He wasn't going to die sitting still. Far away from the battle zone, a massive ship moved through space. It was beautiful, made of silver metal that seemed to glow with its own light. This was a Solarian Royal Cruiser, one of the most powerful ships in the galaxy. On its bridge stood Queen Ji-hai, tall and elegant in her ceremonial armor. "My queen," said Commander Haewon, bowing slightly. "We are approaching the designated sector. The human battle occurred here approximately 4 hours ago." Ji-hai nodded slowly. She had been watching humanity's war with the Vexthari for months now. The humans were a young species, barely 300 years into space travel. They had primitive weapons and slow ships. By all logic, they should have surrendered when the Vexthari first arrived. But they hadn't. They kept fighting, kept dying, kept refusing to give up. It was fascinating and confusing. "What are we detecting?" Ji-hai asked. Bo-ra, the tactical officer, studied her screens. "Massive debris field, approximately 40 human vessels destroyed, no surviving ships detected." "Wait." She leaned closer to her display. "I'm reading one faint life sign, a single fighter craft, heavily damaged." "And Vexthari?" Ji-hai asked. 6 hunter ships converging on that location," Bo-ra replied. "They will reach the human in 8 minutes. Haewon turned to the queen. "Should we intervene?" Ji-hai was quiet for a moment. Solarian law was clear. They did not interfere with other species' wars. They observed, they learned, but they did not act. To break this law would mean facing the High Council's judgment. "No," Ji-hai said finally. "We will observe. I want to see how this human faces death. It will help us understand their species better." Haewon looked uncomfortable but nodded. As you command, my queen. The Solarian cruiser moved closer, staying hidden behind a large piece of destroyed battleship. Ji-Hai watched the main screen carefully. She could see the tiny human fighter now, drifting among the wreckage. It looked so small and fragile. The Vexthari hunters were closing in, their organic ships pulsing with bioluminescent light. "The human is powering up weapons," Bo-Ra said, surprise in her voice. "His ship is barely functional, but he's preparing to fight." "Foolish," Haewon muttered. "He should be trying to escape or hiding in the debris." Ji-Hai said nothing. She just watched. Hyun-Sik gripped his controls tightly. The 6 Vexthari ships were spreading out, surrounding him. They thought he was helpless. They thought this would be easy. Maybe they were right, but he was going to make them work for it. He thought about his training, about every lesson he had ever learned, about every battle he had survived. He thought about Do-Yoon, who always said that a good pilot could turn anything into a weapon. He thought about Young-Ho, who taught him that the best defense was unpredictability. "Computer," he said quietly. "Transfer all remaining power to thrusters and weapons. Cut life support to minimum." "Warning," the computer replied. "This will reduce oxygen supply to 4 hours." "Do it," Hyun-Sik said. The lights in his cockpit dimmed. He felt the temperature drop immediately. But his thruster indicator showed better power levels. The plasma gun display turned from red to yellow. Not good, but better than before. The first Vexithari ship moved in, probably expecting him to surrender or beg for mercy. Instead, Hyun-Sik fired his thrusters and dove straight at it. The hunter ship tried to dodge, but it was too slow. Hyun-Sik spun his fighter at the last second and fired 3 plasma shots into the hunter's exposed underside. The bioship convulsed and exploded in green fire. 5 left. On the Solarian bridge, every officer stared at the screen in shock. "Did that human just—" Haewon started to say. "Yes," Ji-Hai said softly. "He did." The queen leaned forward in her throne, her eyes fixed on the small human fighter. Suddenly, this observation mission had become much more interesting. "Increase sensor focus," Ji-Hai commanded. "I want to see everything, every movement, every decision. I want to understand this human." The battle had just begun, and Queen Ji-Hai had a feeling she was about to witness something remarkable. The remaining 5 Vexithari hunters stopped moving. Hyun-Sik could almost feel their confusion through the void of space. They had expected an easy kill. They had found a wounded animal that could still bite, but Hyun-Sik knew he had only surprised them. Surprise wouldn't work twice. These creatures were smart. They learned fast. He needed a new plan. He looked around at the debris field. Pieces of destroyed ships floated everywhere. A broken engine section here, a hull fragment there, part of a destroyed weapon platform spinning slowly through space. Do-Yun's voice echoed in his memory. "The battlefield is full of weapons. You just have to be creative." Hyun-Sik smiled despite the pain in his ribs. "Okay, Do-Yun," he whispered. "Let's be creative." He fired his thrusters and shot toward a large piece of rotating debris. It was part of a destroyer's main hull, maybe 50 meters long. The Vexthari followed him, moving faster now. They weren't going to be surprised again. On the Solarian cruiser, Bo-Ra tracked every movement. "The human is heading toward the debris. He's going to trap himself." "No," Ji-Hai said quietly. She was standing now, unable to sit while watching this. "He has a plan. Look at his trajectory. Look at his speed." Haewon studied the screen more carefully. "He's using the debris rotation, but for what?" They got their answer seconds later. Hyun-Sik timed it perfectly. He flew behind the rotating hull section just as 2 Vexthari hunters came around opposite sides. They couldn't see each other with the debris between them. They couldn't see him either. Hyun-Sik waited, counting seconds in his head, watching his sensors. 3, 2, 1. He fired his thrusters hard, shooting up and over the debris. At the exact same moment, the two hunters came around the debris from different sides, moving fast. They saw each other too late. Both tried to dodge. They collided with each other in a tangle of organic matter and bioelectric fire. One exploded immediately. The other spun away, badly damaged. 3 left. Well, 2.5. Impossible, Haywan breathed. He calculated that perfectly. The timing, the speed, the rotation of the debris. One mistake, and he would have been killed. Jihai's eyes were wide. In 300 years of life, she had seen many warriors. She had fought in 20 campaigns herself, but she had never seen anything like this. This human was flying a dying ship with almost no weapons against superior enemies, and he was winning. "What are his vital signs?" Jihai asked Bora. Bora checked her medical sensors. Her face went pale. "My queen, his heart rate is extremely elevated. His pain responses suggest multiple injuries. And his adrenaline levels. If a Solarian had these levels, they would be dead. The heart couldn't handle it." "But he's still fighting," Jihai said. "Yes," Bora replied, her voice filled with wonder. "He's still fighting." Hyunsik didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired. His chest hurt with every breath. His head was pounding. The cold was getting worse as the life support continued to fail. He could see his breath now, small clouds of frost in the cockpit. His plasma gun had 4 shots left. The 3 remaining hunters were being more careful now. They stayed spread out, attacking from different angles. Hyunsik dodged and weaved through the debris, but it was getting harder. His thrusters were overheating. The computer kept beeping warnings at him. One of the hunters fired a bioacid projectile. It missed Hyunsik, but hit a piece of debris near him. The acid ate through the metal instantly. That was new. They were trying different weapons now. Hyunsik's mind raced. He couldn't keep dodging forever. His ship was failing. He needed to end this fast. But how? 3 enemies, 4 plasma shots. Even if every shot killed 1 hunter, he'd still have 1 shot left over. Unless... He saw it. A destroyed weapons platform. Its missile tubes still intact. The missiles were probably dead, but the tubes were pressurized. If he could trigger the pressure release, it was crazy. It would never work. But crazy was all he had left. Hyunsik turned his fighter and flew straight toward the weapons platform. The Vexthari took the bait, following him. They thought he was running. They thought he was finally trying to escape. "What is he doing?" Haywan asked, confused. "That platform is a dead end. He'll be trapped." Jihai didn't answer. She was watching the human's flight pattern. There was something deliberate about it, something planned. Hyunsik reached the weapons platform and flew along its length. The hunters were right behind him, closing in fast. He could see them on his sensors, getting closer, closer, almost there. He spun his fighter in a tight turn and fired 2 plasma shots at the platform's missile tubes. The superheated plasma hit the pressurized tubes and they exploded. The entire weapons platform became a giant fragmentation bomb. Pieces of metal flew in every direction at incredible speed. 2 of the Vexthari hunters were shredded instantly. The 3rd one was hit hard but survived, tumbling through space, damaged but still dangerous. 1 left, 2 plasma shots remaining. Hyunsik didn't chase it. He couldn't. His thruster just died, overheated beyond repair. The fighter was completely dead now, floating without power. He had no engines, no shields, nothing but 2 shots in his plasma gun and whatever air was left in his suit. The last Vexthari hunter recovered from the explosion. It turned slowly, looking at Hyunsik's dead fighter. It moved forward carefully, checking for tricks. But there were no tricks left. The human was finished. Or so it thought. Hyunsik popped the emergency canopy release. The cockpit glass blew away into space. The remaining air rushed out in a cloud of frost. Hyunsik was in his combat suit now, floating in vacuum. He grabbed his personal plasma cutter from the emergency kit. It wasn't much, but it was sharp. "He's abandoning his ship," Bo-Ra reported, her voice shaking. He's going out there with hand tools." Hei-Wan turned to Ji-Hai. "My queen, this is madness. He cannot fight a bioship with a plasma cutter. We must intervene." "Not yet," Ji-Hai said, but her hand was gripping the armrest of her throne very tightly. For the first time in many years, she felt genuine fear, not for herself, but for this brave, foolish human. The Vexithari hunter approached the dead fighter. Its biosensors scanned for the pilot. It found him, floating nearby, looking so small and helpless. The hunter extended its organic weapons, preparing to finish this annoying human. Hyun-Sik waited. He made himself look dead, drifting naturally with the debris. The hunter came closer, closer. Its sensors were focused on him, checking if he was really helpless. It never saw him pull the explosive charges from his belt. At the last second, Hyun-Sik fired his suit's emergency thrusters and shot forward. He wasn't trying to run away. He was attacking. He slammed into the hunter's hull and magnetic locked his boots to its surface. The creature tried to shake him off, spinning and diving, but Hyun-Sik held on. He planted all 4 of his explosive charges on the hunter's central nerve cluster. Then he kicked off hard, firing his thrusters to get away. The charges detonated. The Vexithari hunter convulsed once, twice, and then went still. Dead. Hyun-Sik floated in space, breathing hard. His oxygen indicator was flashing red. 5 minutes left, maybe less. His suit was damaged. His body was broken. But he had won. He looked around at the debris field, at the pieces of his friends' ships, at the bodies floating in the darkness. "Do-Yun," he said softly. "Young-Ho, Nari, Taemin, Sunmi. I got them. I got them for you." His oxygen alarm started beeping. 3 minutes. On the Solarian bridge, every officer was silent. They had just watched something that shouldn't be possible. A single human, in a dying ship with almost no weapons, had destroyed 6 Vexithari hunters through skill, intelligence, and sheer determination. Ji-Hai stood completely still, her eyes fixed on the floating human. Then she spoke, her voice filled with emotion that surprised even herself. "Deploy the recovery team, now. That warrior will not die today." Hei-Wan smiled and immediately started giving orders. Bo-Ra was already preparing the medical bay. The queen of the Solarian Empire had made her decision, and in doing so, she had changed the future of 2 species forever. Hyun-Sik's vision was getting blurry. The oxygen alarm in his helmet had stopped beeping. That was bad. That meant it was almost gone. He could feel himself getting sleepy. His body felt heavy, even in 0 gravity. He thought about Earth, about his sister, about cherry blossoms in spring, about the smell of his mother's cooking, about all the things he would never experience again. It was okay. He had done his duty. He had avenged his friends. That was enough. His eyes started to close. Then something grabbed him, strong hands, pulling him through space. Voices talking in a language he didn't understand. Bright lights, moving fast. A door closing. The hiss of air filling a chamber. Hyun-Sik's eyes opened slightly. He saw figures around him, tall and elegant, their skin having a slight silver tint in the light. They weren't human. They weren't Vexithari either. They were something else. "Stay with us, warrior," a voice said in perfect English. "You are safe now." Then darkness took him. In the medical bay of the Solarian cruiser, Dr. Sunmi worked quickly. She was the best medical officer in the Royal Fleet, but she had never treated a human before. Their biology was similar to Solarians in many ways, but different in others. Strange, adaptable, resilient. "His injuries are severe," Sunmi reported to Queen Ji-Hai, who stood nearby watching. 3 broken ribs, internal bleeding, severe oxygen deprivation. His body temperature dropped dangerously low. By all logic, he should be dead or dying. But he's not, Ji-hai asked. Sunmi shook her head, amazement in her voice. No, my queen. His body is fighting to survive with remarkable strength. His healing responses are activating faster than any species I've seen. It's like his biology refuses to accept death. Ji-hai looked down at the unconscious human. He looked so ordinary, not particularly large or strong. Young, maybe 30 Earth years. Nothing about his appearance suggested the warrior she had just witnessed. But appearances meant nothing. She had learned that today. Will he survive? Ji-hai asked. Yes, Sunmi said with confidence. He will wake in a few hours. His body just needs rest and proper oxygen. The internal injuries will take longer to heal, but he will live. Ji-hai nodded slowly. Inform me immediately when he wakes. I want to speak with him. She left the medical bay and walked to her private chamber. Once inside, she sat heavily in her chair. Haewon and Bo-Ra were already there, waiting for her. My queen, Haewon said carefully. We need to discuss what just happened. I know, Ji-hai replied. I violated our laws. I interfered in another species conflict. The High Council will demand an explanation. You saved a life, Bo-Ra said firmly. A warrior's life. Surely the Council will understand. Ji-hai wasn't so sure. The Solarian Empire had rules for good reasons. They had seen what happened when advanced species interfered with younger ones. It created dependency. It destroyed natural development. It led to resentment and conflict. But those rules were written for normal situations. Was this normal? Tell me what you both thought, Ji-hai said. Speak honestly. I won't punish you for your opinions. Haewon spoke first. I have served you for 20 years, my queen. I have fought beside you in many battles. I have seen brave warriors from many species, but I have never seen anything like what that human did today. He was outnumbered, outgunned, and dying. Yet he fought with intelligence, creativity, and absolute determination. When his ship died, he kept fighting. When his weapons were gone, he used tools. He turned everything around him into a weapon. He refused to surrender even when death was certain. And what does that tell you? Ji-hai asked. It tells me that humanity is special, Haewon said. Different from other species. They don't calculate odds like we do. They don't accept logical outcomes. They fight anyway. And that makes them either the most dangerous species in the galaxy or the most valuable potential allies. Bo-Ra nodded in agreement. I analyzed his behavior patterns during the battle, my queen. Every decision he made was calculated. He wasn't fighting in rage or panic. He was thinking, planning, adapting. But more than that, I monitored his communications. He was speaking during the battle. What was he saying? Ji-hai asked. Bo-Ra pulled up the recordings. He was saying names: Do-Yun, Young-ho, Nari, Tai-min, Sunmi. I checked our database. These were members of his squadron, all killed in the battle. He was remembering them while he fought. He wasn't fighting for himself, my queen. He was fighting for his fallen comrades, for their memory, for their honor. Ji-hai felt something strange in her chest. Emotion, deep emotion. The Solarian people valued honor above everything. A warrior who fought for fallen comrades was the highest form of honor in their culture. This human, without knowing Solarian ways, had demonstrated the purest warrior spirit she had ever witnessed. What would you have done? Ji-hai asked them both. If you were in my position, exactly what you did, Haewon said immediately. Without hesitation, Bo-Ra agreed. Ji-hai stood and walked to the window. Space stretched out before her, infinite and dark. Somewhere in that darkness, humanity was fighting a losing war. Brave warriors like the one in her medical bay were dying, one by one, because they refused to surrender. The High Council won't be happy, Ji-hai said. The High Council doesn't have to fight, Haewon replied. They sit in their chambers and make rules. They don't stand on the battlefield. They don't watch warriors die. You do, my queen. Your judgment should count for more than their rules. Jihai turned back to them. I'm going to do more than save one human. I'm going to propose an alliance. Humanity faces extinction. They fight with honor and courage, but they lack the technology and numbers to survive. We have the power to help them. The question is whether we should. The council will refuse, Bo-Ra said. They always refuse. Maybe, Jihai said. But they need to see what I saw today. They need to understand what humanity is capable of. They need to meet this human. 3 hours later, Hyun-sik opened his eyes. The ceiling above him was strange, made of smooth silver metal that seemed to glow softly. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through his chest. Easy, warrior, a gentle voice said. A Solarian doctor appeared beside him, pressing him back down gently. You have broken ribs. Moving suddenly is not wise. Where am I? Hyun-sik asked, his voice rough. Aboard the Solarian Royal Cruiser, the doctor replied. You are safe. You are also very lucky. A few more seconds and we couldn't have saved you. Hyun-sik looked around the room. It was clearly medical, but unlike any medical facility he'd seen before. Everything was elegant, artistic, beautiful even. Why did you save me? He asked. That is a question for the Queen, the doctor said with a small smile. She is waiting to speak with you. Are you strong enough to talk? Hyun-sik nodded. He had many questions and needed answers. The doctor helped him sit up carefully, supporting his back. Then she stepped aside as a door opened. Queen Jihai entered. She was tall, maybe 6.5 feet, with silver-tinted skin and eyes that seemed to see everything. She wore ceremonial armor that looked both practical and beautiful. Power and authority radiated from her, but Hyun-sik saw something else in her eyes. Respect. Captain Hyun-sik, Jihi said, her voice formal but warm. I am Queen Jihi of the Solarian Empire. I witnessed your battle. I saw what you did. Hyun-sik tried to stand to show proper respect, but Jihi raised her hand. Stay seated, warrior. You have earned the right to rest. My queen, Hyun-sik said, using her title instinctively. Thank you for saving my life, but I need to return to my fleet. They need every pilot. The war isn't over. Jihai studied him carefully. Even injured, even rescued by strangers, his first thought was returning to battle, returning to his duty. Your fleet has retreated to Andros Station, Jihai said gently. They believe you are dead. All of your squadron is listed as killed in action. Hyun-sik's face went pale. His hands gripped the bed. Then I need to contact them. Let them know I'm alive, please. I will, Jihi promised. But first, I need to ask you something. What I saw today, is that normal for humans? Do all your warriors fight like you did? Hyun-sik thought about the question. Every human is different, Your Majesty. But when we're pushed to the edge, when we have nothing left, yes, we fight. We always fight. It's who we are. We don't know how to quit. Jihye nodded slowly. She had suspected as much. This wasn't one exceptional human. This was what all humans were capable of when necessary. Captain Hyun-sik, Jihye said formally, I am declaring you Corveth. In my language, it means death's equal. It is a title given only to the greatest warriors. You have earned it. Hyun-sik didn't know what to say. He bowed his head in respect. Now rest, Jihai said. We have much to discuss, but it can wait until you are stronger. Your war is not over, Captain, but perhaps soon you won't have to fight it alone. 2 days passed before Hyun-sik was strong enough to walk. Dr. Sunmi kept him in the medical bay, monitoring his recovery with fascination. She had never seen a patient heal so quickly from such severe injuries. His broken ribs were already showing signs of repair. His internal bleeding had stopped completely. It was remarkable. Your species is very stubborn, Sunmi told him as she checked his vital signs. Even your cells refuse to give up. Hyun-sik smiled weakly. We're good at being stubborn. It's maybe our best skill. Queen Ji-hai visited him every day. They talked about many things. She asked about Earth, about human culture, about the war with the Vexthari. Hyun-sik told her everything, honestly. He had no reason to hide anything. These people had saved his life. On the third day, Ji-hye brought Haiwan and Bo-ra with her. They all looked serious. Captain, Ji-hye said, you are well enough now to hear the truth. The situation is worse than you know. Hyun-sik felt his stomach tighten. How bad? Bo-ra activated a holographic display. It showed the entire sector of space. Red markers indicated Vexithari forces. Blue markers showed human positions. There was much more red than blue. After the destruction of the Third Fleet, humanity has only 2 major fleets remaining, Bo-ra explained. The first fleet is defending Earth. The second fleet is stationed at Andros Station. Together, you have maybe 200 ships. And the Vexthari? Hyun-sik asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. Over 3,000 bioships, Bo-ra said quietly. And they're gathering for a final assault. Our intelligence suggests they will attack Earth directly within the next 5 days. Hyun-sik felt like he'd been punched. 5 days. Earth had 5 days left. His sister was on Earth, his parents, billions of people, all about to face an enemy that couldn't be stopped. We will lose, Hyun-sik said, not as a question but as a fact. Even if every human fights like I did, we don't have enough ships. We don't have enough weapons. We can't win. No, Ji-hye agreed. You cannot. Not alone. Hyun-sik looked up at her. What do you mean, not alone? Ji-hye sat down across from him. The Solarian Empire has the power to help you. We have technology far beyond what the Vexthari possess. Our fleet could turn the tide of this war, but our law forbids us from interfering with younger species. We observe, we study, we do not act. Then why are you telling me this? Hyun-sik asked, confusion and hope mixing in his voice. Because I'm going to break that law, Ji-hye said simply. I'm going to propose an alliance between our peoples. The High Council will need to approve it. They will be difficult to convince, but I believe I can make them understand. Why? Hyun-sik asked. Why would you risk so much for us? You barely know humanity. Ji-hye stood and walked to the window. Because of what I saw you do, because of the honor you showed, because in 300 years of life, I have never witnessed a warrior like you, and because Bo-ra told me something that changed my mind. She turned back to him. You fought for your fallen comrades. You spoke their names while you battled. You weren't fighting for yourself or for glory. You fought to honor the dead and protect those still living. That is the highest form of warrior honor in Solarian culture. You demonstrated our most sacred value without even knowing it. Hyun-sik felt tears in his eyes. He quickly wiped them away, embarrassed. Don't hide your tears, Captain, Haiwan said gently. Tears for fallen comrades are a warrior's honor. We understand this. I need to contact my command, Hyun-sik said, his voice thick with emotion. They need to know I'm alive. They need to know about your offer. Already done, Ji-hye said. I sent a message to Admiral Tae-min at Andros Station 2 hours ago. He is waiting to speak with you. Bo-ra activated another display. The face of Admiral Tae-min appeared. He was older than Hyun-sik remembered, with more gray in his hair. The war had aged him. His eyes widened when he saw Hyun-sik. Captain Hyun-sik, the Admiral said, his voice breaking slightly. We thought you were dead. We saw your squadron. We saw everyone. I survived, sir, Hyun-sik said. Barely. The Solarians rescued me. So Queen Ji-hye's message was true, Tae-min said, looking at something off-screen. She says she wants to propose an alliance. She says she'll bring the matter before their High Council. Captain, is this real? Can we trust them? Hyun-sik looked at Ji-hai, who nodded for him to answer honestly. Sir, they saved my life when they had no reason to. They've treated me with honor and respect. Queen Ji-hai watched me fight 6 Vexathari hunters alone. She saw what humans are capable of. I believe she genuinely wants to help us. Taemin was quiet for a moment. Then he said, The situation is desperate, Captain. Earth has maybe a week before the Vexathari arrive in force. We're evacuating what civilians we can, but there's nowhere to evacuate them to. Every human colony is under attack. If the Solarians can help us, we have to try. Agreed, sir, Hyun-sik said. Queen Ji-hye, Taemin said, addressing her directly. What do you need from us? I need Captain Hyun-sik to accompany me to the High Council, Ji-hai replied. They need to see what humanity is. They need to hear from one of your warriors. Words alone won't convince them. But perhaps seeing the human I rescued, hearing his story, understanding your people's spirit, that might be enough. You're asking a lot of him, Taemin said carefully. He's injured. He's been through hell. I know, Ji-hai said, and I won't force him. The choice is his. Everyone looked at Hyun-sik. The young captain stood slowly, his ribs still aching but his mind clear. He thought about his sister on Earth, about the billions of people depending on the fleet, about Do-yun, Young-ho, Na-ri, and all the others who had died. I'll do it, Hyun-sik said firmly. When do we leave? Immediately, Ji-hai said. The High Council meets tomorrow. We need to travel through their special gate network to reach the capital world. It will take 1 day. Then I'm ready, Hyun-sik said. Admiral Taemin saluted him through the screen. Good luck, Captain. You're fighting for all of us now. Make them understand. Make them see what we're fighting for. I will, sir, Hyun-sik promised. The transmission ended. Ji-hee turned to Hai-wan. Prepare my personal shuttle. We leave within the hour. Bring your full honor guard. I want the council to see that we take this seriously. Yes, my queen, Hai-wan said, bowing and leaving quickly. Bora approached Hyun-sik. I've prepared data files on human history, culture, and the war with the Vexathari. You should review them before we arrive. The council will ask difficult questions. Thank you, Hyun-sik said. Soon, Hyun-sik was alone with Ji-hee. The queen looked at him thoughtfully. You understand what we're facing? She asked. The High Council is made up of the oldest and most traditional Solarians. They have followed our non-interference laws for thousands of years. Convincing them to break those laws, it won't be easy. What are my chances? Hyun-sik asked. Ji-hee smiled slightly. Before I met you, I would have said impossible. But I watched you fight 6 enemy ships with a broken fighter and hand tools. You didn't calculate your chances. You just fought. Maybe that's what we need to do now. Just fight for what's right and hope it's enough. That's very human thinking, Hyun-sik said with a small smile. Yes, Ji-hai agreed. Perhaps your species is teaching me new ways of thinking. Come, we have preparations to make. As they walked toward the shuttle bay, Hyun-sik felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He was just one pilot, one man. But somehow he had become the voice for all humanity. The future of billions depended on what happened in the next day. He thought about his sister, about Earth, about all the people who would never know his name, but whose lives depended on him succeeding. No pressure, he muttered to himself. Ji-hai heard him and laughed, a sound both elegant and warm. You faced 6 Vexathari hunters alone, Captain. I think you can handle a room full of old politicians. Hyun-sik hoped she was right. The shuttle launched from the cruiser, heading toward a glowing portal in space. Beyond that portal was the Solarian capital world. Beyond that was a meeting that would change the galaxy forever. The Queen and the human pilot traveled together. Two unlikely allies fighting to save a species from extinction. Neither knew if they would succeed, but both knew they had to try, because that's what warriors did. They fought, even when the odds were impossible. They tried, even when failure seemed certain. They never gave up. And sometimes, just sometimes, that was enough. The Solarian capital world was the most beautiful thing Hyunsik had ever seen. Cities of silver and crystal stretched across the landscape, glowing softly in the light of twin suns. Forests of blue and purple trees filled the valleys. Rivers of pure water sparkled like diamonds. It looked like something from a dream. "Your world is incredible," Hyunsik said as their shuttle descended. "It took us 10,000 years to build," Ji-hee replied. "We value beauty as much as strength. A civilization should create, not just destroy." The shuttle landed at the High Council building, a massive structure that seemed to grow from the ground like a crystal mountain. Haewon and 5 honor guards escorted them inside. Hyunsik felt small in his simple human uniform, surrounded by these tall, elegant beings in their ceremonial armor. "Don't be nervous," Ji-hye whispered to him. "Remember, you fought 6 enemy ships alone. These are just politicians." Hyunsik smiled despite his nerves. "Politicians are sometimes scarier than enemy ships." Ji-hye laughed quietly. "A wise observation, Captain." They entered the council chamber. It was a circular room with high ceilings. 7 Solarians sat in elevated seats around the edge, looking down at the center where Ji-hye and Hyunsik stood. These were the oldest members of Solarian society, the keepers of law and tradition. Their faces showed centuries of wisdom and also centuries of rigid thinking. The head counselor, an ancient Solarian named Kang Dai, spoke first. His voice was deep and formal. "Queen Ji-hye, you have requested this emergency session. You claim you have broken our most sacred law, the law of non-interference. Is this true?" "It is true," Ji-hye said clearly, showing no fear. "I rescued a human warrior from certain death. I brought him aboard my ship. I treated his wounds. And now I stand before you to propose something unprecedented, an alliance with humanity." Murmurs went through the council. Another counselor, a woman named In-ha, leaned forward. "You admit to breaking our law openly. Do you not understand the consequences? Our laws exist to protect younger species from becoming dependent on us, to let them develop naturally." "I understand the laws," Ji-hye replied. "I have followed them for 300 years. But I also understand that laws must sometimes bend when faced with unique circumstances. Humanity faces extinction. They fight an enemy that outnumbers them 15-1. They have weeks left, maybe days. Without help, an entire species will be destroyed." A third counselor named Dong-woo spoke coldly. "Many species have faced extinction. This is the natural order. The strong survive, the weak perish. Why should humanity be different?" Ji-hye turned to Hyunsik and nodded. It was time for him to speak. Hyunsik stepped forward, his legs shaking slightly. He looked up at the 7 ancient beings judging him and his entire species. He thought about what to say. Then he decided to simply tell the truth. "My name is Captain Hyunsik. I'm a fighter pilot in the Earth Defense Corps. 3 days ago, my fleet was destroyed. All of my friends died. I watched them burn. I was alone, surrounded by 6 enemy ships, in a broken fighter with almost no weapons. By all logic, I should have died." He paused, meeting each counselor's eyes. "But I didn't die. Not because I'm special, not because I'm stronger or smarter than other humans. I survived because I refused to quit. That's what humans do. We face impossible odds, and we fight anyway. We lose everything, and we keep going. You ask why humanity should be different? We're not different. We're just stubborn." "Stubbornness is not a virtue," Kang Dae said dismissively. "It's foolishness." "Maybe, Hyun-sik agreed. But it's our foolishness, and it's kept us alive when nothing else would. Queen Ji-hai asked me why I fought instead of accepting death peacefully. I'll tell you what I told her. I fought because my friends deserve to be avenged. I fought because my people on Earth deserve a chance to live. I fought because giving up would mean their deaths meant nothing. He took a deep breath, feeling pain in his ribs but pushing through it. You want to know about humanity? We're not perfect. We fight among ourselves sometimes. We make mistakes. We're young and foolish and we don't always know what we're doing. But we care. We love. We remember our fallen. We protect our families. And we never ever surrender. In-ha looked at Ji-hai. Queen, you said this human's actions changed your mind. What exactly did you witness? Ji-hai activated a holographic recording. The council watched in silence as Hyun-sik's battle played out before them. They saw him destroy the first hunter with a damaged ship. They saw him use debris as a weapon. They saw him trigger the weapon's platform explosion. They saw him abandon his ship and fight with hand tools in the vacuum of space. The council chamber was completely silent when the recording ended. This is remarkable, whispered another counselor named Jae-hyun. I have never seen such tactical creativity, such determination. This is one battle, Dong-woo said stubbornly. One warrior. It proves nothing about the species as a whole. Actually, it proves everything, Bo-ra said, stepping forward. Ji-hai had given her permission to speak. I analyzed thousands of hours of human combat recordings. This kind of determination is not unique to Captain Hyun-sik. It's common among humans. They consistently fight beyond what logic suggests they should. They win battles they should lose. They survive situations that should kill them. It's not luck. It's their nature. Hae-won spoke next. Honored Council, I have fought in 20 campaigns. I have seen brave warriors from many species, but I have never seen anything like what humanity demonstrates. They have something we lost long ago. They have fire, passion, the absolute refusal to accept defeat. If we let them die, we lose something precious, something the galaxy needs. Kong Dai looked troubled. Even if we believe this, our laws exist for good reasons. If we help humanity, other species will demand help too. Where do we draw the line? We draw it here, Ji-hai said firmly, with a species that has demonstrated true warrior honor, a species that fights not out of hate or conquest, but to protect what they love. The Vexithari are a plague that will spread beyond human space, if not stopped. Helping humanity isn't just mercy, it's strategic wisdom. There's something else, Hyun-sik added quietly. You talk about non-interference, about letting species develop naturally. But there's nothing natural about the Vexithari. They're not a rival civilization. They're a swarm that consumes everything. They don't negotiate. They don't build. They just destroy. If you let them wipe out humanity, you're not preserving natural order. You're just watching murder happen. His words hung in the air. The counselors looked at each other, communicating silently in ways Hyun-sik didn't understand. Finally, In-ha spoke. Queen Ji-hai, if we approve this alliance, what exactly are you proposing? I propose sending the royal fleet to Earth, Ji-hai said. Combining our forces with humanity's remaining ships, fighting the Vexithari together. Showing the galaxy that we stand against mindless destruction. And if we win, establishing a formal alliance with humanity, teaching them our technology, learning from their spirit, growing stronger together. And if we lose? Dong-woo asked. Then at least we tried, Ji-hee replied. At least we stood for something meaningful. Isn't that worth more than sitting safely in our space, watching other species die? Kang-dae stood slowly. This is the most difficult decision this council has faced in 1,000 years. We need time to deliberate. Time is something humanity doesn't have, Hyun-sik said urgently. Earth has maybe 5 days. Every hour we delay, more Vexithari ships gather. Please, I'm not asking you to do this for free. If we survive, humanity will be in your debt. We'll share everything we learn. We'll stand beside you in future conflicts. We'll be loyal allies forever. Just give us a chance." The council members looked at each other again. Then Kang Dae nodded slowly. "We will vote now. All in favor of Queen Ji-Hai's proposal?" 4 hands rose. In-ha, Jae-hyun, and 2 other counselors Hyun-sik hadn't heard speak. All opposed? 3 hands rose, including Dong-woo and Kang Dae himself. "The vote is 4-3, Kang Dae announced. "The alliance is approved. May the ancestors forgive us if this is wrong." Hyun-sik felt his knees go weak with relief. Ji-hai put a hand on his shoulder, steadying him. "Thank you," Hyun-sik said to the council, his voice breaking. "Thank you. You won't regret this." "We'd better not," Dong-woo muttered. They left the council chamber quickly. Once outside, Hai-wan smiled widely. "We did it," she said. "Against all odds, we actually did it." "Now comes the hard part," Ji-hai said. "Actually winning the war. Bo-ra, send immediate orders to the Royal Fleet. All combat-ready ships to Earth's coordinates. Maximum speed." "Yes, my queen," Bo-ra said happily. Ji-hai turned to Hyun-sik. "Captain, we need to return you to Andros Station. You'll help coordinate the combined fleet. Your Admiral Tai-min will command the human forces. I'll command the Solarian forces. Together, we'll face the Vexthari." "When do we leave?" Hyun-sik asked. "Now," Ji-hee said. "We have 4 days to prepare, 4 days to plan, 4 days to get ready for the biggest battle in human history." They rushed back to the shuttle. As they lifted off, Hyun-sik looked down at the beautiful Solarian world. He thought about how close they had come to failure, how easily the vote could have gone the other way. "Thank you," he said to Ji-hai, "for everything, for saving me, for believing in humanity." "Thank you for showing me what your species is capable of," Ji-hai replied. "You fought alone and changed everything. Now you'll never fight alone again." The shuttle shot into space, heading for the gate that would take them back to human territory. Behind them, the Solarian Royal Fleet was already mobilizing. Hundreds of powerful warships preparing to stand beside humanity in their darkest hour. 3 days later, Hyun-sik stood on the bridge of a new command ship. It was a hybrid design combining human and Solarian technology. Around him stood human and Solarian officers working together. Outside, a combined fleet of 400 ships floated in formation, waiting. Ahead of them, sensors detected the Vexthari swarm, 3,000 bioships moving toward Earth like a wave of death. "All ships report ready," Hai-wan said from the tactical station. "Human fleet standing by," Admiral Taemin said from his flagship. "Solarian fleet ready," Ji-hai said from her throne on the royal cruiser. Hyun-sik took a deep breath. He thought about Do-yeon, Young-ho, Nari, and all the others. He thought about his sister on Earth, about billions of people who didn't know their lives had been saved by an alliance born from one desperate battle. "All ships," Hyun-sik said clearly. "This is Commander Hyun-sik. Today we stand together, human and Solarian. We fight for our worlds, for our families, for our future. The enemy thinks we're weak. Let's show them what happens when warriors unite. All ships engage." The combined fleet surged forward. Human fighters flew alongside Solarian interceptors. Human cruisers coordinated with Solarian battleships. Different species, different technologies, different cultures, all fighting as one. The Vexthari swarm met them head-on. The battle was fierce and terrible. Ships burned, warriors died, but the line held. For every ship that fell, 2 more took its place. Human stubbornness combined with Solarian power. It was a force the galaxy had never seen. Hyun-sik fought from his command ship, coordinating attacks, directing forces, using everything he had learned. Beside him, Ji-hai commanded with centuries of experience. Together, they were unstoppable. The battle lasted 3 days. When it finally ended, the Vexathari were broken. Their swarm scattered. Earth was safe. Humanity was safe. And in the darkness of space, 2 species had become one people. Allies, friends, warriors who would never fight alone again. Hyun-sik stood on the bridge, exhausted but alive. Ji-hai appeared on his comm screen, smiling. "Well done, Commander," she said. "Your people can be proud." "We all can be," Hyun-sik replied. This was everyone's victory. He looked out at the combined fleet, damaged but triumphant. He thought about how everything had changed because he refused to quit, because Ji-hai refused to look away, because both of them chose to fight for what was right. Sometimes that's all it takes to change the universe. One person refusing to surrender, one person choosing to help, one moment of courage that echoes through history. Hyun-sik smiled. His sister was safe. Earth was safe, and humanity had found its place among the stars, not as subjects or servants, but as equals, as warriors worthy of respect. The war wasn't over. There would be more battles, more challenges, but humanity would face them alongside their new allies. They would grow stronger together. They would build something new, and it all started with one pilot, one broken ship, and one queen who witnessed something remarkable. It started with someone who refused to quit, and that made all the difference.